So anyway, the issue was sorted. So basically, the code was okay. I gave the full path here. Then more for tip, tip. So yeah. So basically, this is the
යකුඩු තුන්දෙන ඉන්නේ මායි තින්නේ එයා ඉන්නේ
one.
බාන බැරි
Yeah. So yes, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I will put the recording right. So I mean, it's not a conventional time that we are having this, so it's fine. So yeah. So regarding the code, you can see first what we did was I got this and then I opened this image. This is actually, like you can see, this is a binary image, right? It's black and white image, not a grayscale image. So but so I'm using opening this as a colored image anyway, because anyway it's black and white. So if you want, I can, so you can see the original image is this, right? Original image is this. So I have to worry about that. So it's black and white. Just that the color appears in gray scale, but you can see it's anyway black and white. No gray scales are there. No gray levels are there. So then I'm using the dilate operation. So CV to dilate. We are using the function dilate. So the source here is that the issue was that the matrix using, and then we are also creating our this thing. We are also creating our structuring element. So I can print the structuring element as well. So I will print our structuring element, that is SC. So you can see the structure that we use is this, right? It's a morph cross, right? So we are using a 3x3 morph cross. That is basically a 3x3 matrix, and we're using cross. So once you have the original image dilated, you can see that this has been thickened, right? You can see that. So once eroded, you can see this original image. Most of the things have been left out. These boxes have been somewhat made smaller, right? Shrinked, right? So there's I'm not sure, there's different other structuring elements you can use. So we'll see this black hat operation, cross dilate. We can use something like the gradient, open, all these things are there. So I will use this ellipse type. I'm sure it will work for this 3x3. Still comes as a cross. I don't know why. So 5x5 something. You can see now, right? It's somewhat like elliptical shape. See, not exactly, but if you like look at it in bit this way, somewhat like an elliptical shape, right? So so that's so we can have a lot of structuring elements, right? So I'll be using the morph cross in our case, which you can see here. You can like do the operation and see how this happens. So direct, so you can see. So there's we use the morph cross one, which we are familiar with. It's much more easy. It's a symmetric structuring element. That's the biggest point, right? Morph cross. So it's 5x5. You see. So it's 5x5 cross. You can see the dilation is too high, right? So you can see the direct image becomes somewhat like the kernel, see, like the structuring element. So I'll use a 3x3 one, which provide this type of very drastic dilation. Okay, so this is morphological operation for dilation and erosion. I hope this is clear. The coding, I think, is clear, right? And then at the same time, we can use opening and closing. So opening and closing, I will not do example drawings. I will directly go with the coding. But just for your understanding, I will explain what opening and closing basically is. Uh, so opening is basically dilation first and then erosion. Erosion followed by dilation, right? Dilation, then erosion. Closing is erosion followed by dilation. What simply happens is, so now you basically know what erosion and dilation, these operations, primary operations, dilation, erosion. You can perform this first and then you perform the next one later. That's all, right? So basically opening is useful in removing noise and opening gaps by thin structures, right? This is useful in closing small holes or small black points, or like we are closing small black points, right? So based on the requirement, you can decide which operation you are going to use. Okay, erosion now, sorry, opening or closing. So these are just a combination of dilation and erosion, right? It's a combination of dilation and erosion, nothing else. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, so I will go to the code. So I don't think it's required. So I mean, basically, if you want to do this, right? So you have have an image like this. This was the image that we had, no? So I will quickly do it then. The coding is not that hard for this, right? So we quickly do a small example for your own reference. So this is the image. If you want to do something like opening, we use a structuring element that we used earlier. That was we used this one, right? We used something like this, no? So we reflect this, we get this. Okay. So if I so I will get this and I will place it over here. So opening, what is opening? So if you look at the definition, opening is erosion followed by dilation, right? Opening is erosion followed by dilation. So we first do dilation, then we do erosion. This is opening. If I go here, so we first do the dilation operation. What's dilation? What is dilation? So basically we keep this whenever any part of the kernel becomes overlapped, the center part gets one, right? So here this becomes one. Here this is one anyway. Yeah, it becomes one. Again, you can see here and here it becomes one, right? It becomes one. Right, so you can see the resulting image is going to be. So I will directly paint this image in blue, in a bit more darker blue, right? Now what we do is we do erosion operation. Once again, we take the kernel here. Now we see what areas the image is directly getting uh, overlapped. Now we are performing the erosion operation to the dilated image, right? This becomes one. Then once we move here, this becomes one. I use a different color, right? Red or something. Some green yellow color, one, and then what else? This becomes one. And you can see this also becomes one. If you move it here, right? So you can see we start up with this image. We start up with this. We start up with this type of this shaped image. We did the dilation operation and we got this image. And then once we did the erosion operation on the dilated image, we got this. So our resultant image after the opening operation is this one, right? So now you can see and understand the opening and dilation. Opening and closing. Closing is basically the reverse. You do the erosion first, and then you do the dilation, right? Clear? So now we'll quickly go and implement the code for this. So I'll quickly go to VS Code, and then I will write this as mark this as erosion. The will be opening, closing. So opening and closing also, I think we can use the same code with a little bit of modifications. So I will do, let's copy this, right? Copy this here. Uh, so here I'm importing numpy as np opencv matplotlib. So I'm getting not this image. I want more for one. That's the other image. Uh, check if the image is loading first. Okay. So more for one. And yeah, structuring element, because we have to create a structuring element, right? We have to creating a structural element. So I'm going to use a morph cross. Just that you see, when you're doing the erosion dilation operation both in opening and closing, you are using the same structural element. Okay, you can't use one structuring element for the erosion operation and then use another structuring element for the dilation operation. You have to keep on using the same structuring element for both the operations, for opening, under opening. So you have to use for dilation and erosion both. You have to use the same structuring element, even for closing, right? In closing will have a dilation operation and, and a and a erosion operation. For both the operations, we'll be using the same structuring element. The structuring element will be created here, okay, like this. And then I am going to, instead of dilated and eroded, I'm going to use opened and closed. Opened and closed. So in that case, I am going to use this morphology x, c dot morphology x under this instead of dilate and erode. I have to use this morphology x for both these functions, right? Mm. And here under morphology x, we have to give the image and the structuring element both, but in between, we have to say, uh, so basically we are doing the uh, opening operation, right? First, for opening operation, what what's first? So we have, uh, yeah, we can use morph open. We can use morph open. So I will use morph open. So I will use morph close and the structuring element. Not sure if this is an error, right? Yeah. So I have to use CV dot for this, right? Not they don't know where I'm taking this from. Okay, now it should work, hopefully. I can see, right? Uh, okay, no. Wait, I had to print this, right? I'm printing the original one is okay, becoming this, which I'm saving uh image as original one, but these I have to give is going to be opened. Second. Hello, madam. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Give me a second, I'll come. Sorry about that. I had to quickly run. So what I was saying was, yeah. So sorry, I had to quickly do it. So open. So I had to use the open image here, right? I have to the title as open, and I will load the dilated image. Closed image here. So it's going to be closed, and now the title will be closed, right? So now you can see here, uh, original image. You can see now, we said there, uh, here in the slides, right? You can see, I said opening is erosion followed by dilation. So first dilation and then erosion. It's useful for removing noise and opening gaps, right? So that's it's entirely not visible here, right? But you can see that this gap has been somewhat extended. See, maybe we can use maybe a 5 by 5 cross and see if this happens further. That yeah, so we can get this. I mean, we just use whatever we used. We have to do the operation and see, right? I mean, as we did earlier, sometimes exactly not might be the case. So uh, we can see this. Basically, this is useful in removing noise. Not exactly reflected. These are not exactly reflected here in this image. So, but here you can see that here we say that we can use close small gaps. Yes, that is somewhat seen. See, this gap is somewhat closed, right? So it's basically first dilation, so first erosion, then dilation is closed. Opening is first uh, dilation, then erosion, right? So this is somewhat confusing. Erosion follows with dilation first, then erosion. Then here, erosion, then dilation, right? So that's what happens. So I hope this is clear. So that's all for morphological processing that I want to discuss. So we can do erosion dilation separately. Those are the basic operations, and then we can do opening and closing. That's actually a mixture of erosion and dilation, and the sequence of operation. Whether we do erosion first or whether we do dilation first, will decide how the outcome is going to be. Okay. So that's what I wanted to discuss under morphological processes as the tutorial, and maybe somewhat like a lecture and a short lab as well. So I will see if I could find some images so that you can do this operation and see the results. So you can change the kernels, you can change the kernel sizes, right? You can basically change the kernel types here, not the kernel, sorry, the structuring element types. You can see you can change there's a lot of types, right? So we are using the cross now. So apart from the cross, there's a lot of other uh, kernel types, right? The ellipse that we tried and all these things. So you can try them and see how the outcomes are. So yeah, but always keep in mind the morphological operations are done generally for already thresholded images, which are binary images, right? So that you need to keep in mind. Uh, apart from that, that's basically all that you want to like. It's not a very hard thing, right? If you know how to do these types of operations, like using the structuring elements, and if you can basically type a small code, that's more than enough about this area. Okay, so yeah, any questions or anything? So sorry about the time that I had to have this 1:30, 3:30, but yeah. So anyway, if you have any questions, you can ask me. And if not, we can wind up the session for today. And thanks for taking part. And I will upload the recordings to YouTube and share the links. Thank you for